sometimes people's actions juxtaposition their statement. It's people who are Christians but want to hate. I'm like, at what point did Jesus hate? Oh, it's like, I'm a Christian and he's a Jew. Wait a minute, Jesus was a Jew. You can't be a Christian and hate Jewish people. What you're saying is you're hating Jesus. He was a Jew. I was created in the image of God. You were created in the image of God. We are, like the song says, we're all God's children, children of God away. So for me, I want to give you that respect because, A, you deserve it. And no matter what you're going through, that doesn't change you as a human being. If you think about it, when people go to jail, they go to the Department of Corrections, not the Department of Punishment. Hi, I'm Alvin Jones, and I'm a culture builder. So a lot of times people ask me my favorite Rap City episode. And of course, a lot of folks know about Big Tigger in the basement and all the different guys and girls that would come in to the basement and rap. And it's interesting because sometimes I think they want to know if my favorite episode is their favorite episode. And I can see it in their faces, but I go, you know what? My favorite episode is totally different. So I remember when we put together Rap City. This is like 1989. What my concern was, I wanted these rappers to get respect. They were young black men and women for the most part. There were some white rappers, but there's always a thing that when you're black, you're underestimated, undervalued, and marginalized, in the words of my late friend Joe Madison, the Black Ego. So what I wanted to do is not only to represent these artists and their music, but I wanted them to be seen as human beings. One of the things that I always remember is I remember when Public Enemy first came out, and everybody's talking about they're militant and they're this and that and that and that. So I'm backstage at the Capitol Center in Washington, D.C., out in Largo, Maryland, and Public Enemy is one of the groups that's performing. And I go over and I see Chuck D. And Chuck D is holding his daughter. I think she may have been 9 months. I think her name was Dominique, and his wife. And I go, wait a minute. You're trying to tell me that these guys are militants. I see a family man. And so seeing Chuck D with his wife and daughter told me, I need to humanize these people. They're human beings, and they should be seen as that. So I thought about it. What can I do to give these young rappers dignity? And I thought about, what's sad? What's sad is children in the hospital. What's sadder than children in the hospital? Children in the hospital on Christmas. So I'm like, hey, let's do a Christmas special. So that's what we did. We took Run DMC, the Fat Boys, Chuck Chill Out, MC Light, Kwame. Who else did we have? LL Cool J. And I'm trying to think who else. One other group. And then De La Soul. So we had 7 different rap groups, and we went over to Children's Hospital and we shot this in the atrium. Now, what was interesting, Buffy from the Fat Boys came over and he had a Santa Claus suit, and he went around to, some of the kids that were, bedridden and couldn't get out of the bed. He went around to them. Man, they had a good time. I remember talking to the folks at Children's Hospital. Well, the kids may not want to participate. Those kids were having a ball. And so what we did for each rapper or his DJ. So at MC Rock Light, she had K-Rock. So we paired each artist and DJ with one of the patients. So MC Light had a little buddy, K-Rock had a little buddy, Run DMC, Run DMC, Jay. They all had these little buddies that would sit with them and they'd introduce. And so these kids had a chance to be on TV. So that to me is like one of the best moments in my life, but also in Rap City history. The other thing was with Rap Week. We were putting together Rap Week. The first Rap Week happened right before Thanksgiving, highest ratings in the history of BET. And we said, okay, we're going to do one. Because the formula that seemed to work was, back in the day, school did not start until after Labor Day. So we had the week before Labor Day. I'm going to do nothing but rap because the kids are at home. So, video vibrations would come on at 4 o'clock. But in, say, Portland or Seattle or San Francisco, it's 1 p.m. So if school was in, all those kids would miss it. So I want to do this before school goes back. The video department, we did it. I went to the promotions. My supervisor, the same person I was telling you about, would not give me a promo. So we had to do it with no promotions. Boom. Highest ratings in the history of BET. Bam. So then we wanted to do one between Christmas and New Year's. Kids are at home, did that, came to New York. James Ebron was the vice president of sales, and BET had just gotten a new sales department because before that, the BET sales department was in HBO's office because HBO had 16% equity. So HBO had 16% equity. TCI, the cable firm, had 16% equity, and Great Adventures that owned Hanna-Barbera and, King's Dominion, they had 16%, which meant Bob Johnson had 52% equity, so he was the majority shareholder, and these other entities had 48%. So we move into this new building, and it's an office. And so James was kind enough to let me do the interviews in one of the offices. So we set that up, and we had artists come in. And so all of these artists, I wish we had pictures of it. So you had Eric B., you had Dougie Fresh to Get Fresh Crew, you had Boogie Down Posse, you had Shinehead, you had Sweet Tea, you had Jungle Brothers when Q-Tip was with Jungle Brothers. You had Audio 2 and Milk, all of these artists. And so James saw these folks there. He goes, yeah, y'all gonna need some food. So James went and got us pizzas and sodas. And so there weren't that many chairs. So literally there were artist lines sitting up against the wall, eating pizzas and drinking sodas out of plastic cups. But it was just amazing because I remember everybody was trying to get in sooner than that. Alvin, can we get in? Can we get in? But it was just amazing to see that because that energy of what was going on was the precursor to Rap City. We didn't have Rap City then. We had Rap Week that we were putting together because of the success of the first one. And doing something right the first time is fine, but can you come back and repeat? That sophomore edition is always the most difficult because the first time you did it, you don't know what the hell you did. Now the question is, can you come back? But that was just to have all those artists sitting on the floor, chilling, and just waiting for their chance to be on Rap Week. Also, it was Kid and Play, which was funny because they were funny. Because back then you had these promos, B-E-T, we're coming on for you, B-E-T, and they would mimic that stuff. And they'd be, we're something that bright and new, we're coming on for you. And it was just too funny. And we had at BET this commercial for, it was a 4-album set of like love songs. They called it Hey Love. And it's like Onyx Communications and Hey Love Productions presents the sounds of sexy soul. And there's all these different songs, right? And they decided to make a parody, or not even a parody, to redo that commercial, while they were on camera. And there's one part where the guy goes, hey, man, let me borrow your album. And he goes, no, my brother, you got to buy your own. And they did that. Now, what was funny about that is Jackson McKinney, the guys that produced the House Party movies, they were also video producers, and they saw that. It's like, we like these guys. So basically, that Rap Week piece that they did was an audition for House Party. And to me, what makes it work is all these things that you do start to create other things and other opportunities. So with that piece of Rap Week and them doing that, that got them to be able to do House Party. So with House Party, you had the DJ Bilal, who's Martin Lawrence, who got a chance to do stuff, and you saw John Witherspoon and all of these other things that were going on. So just that whole creativity piece is what I love. It's interesting because I find sometimes people's actions juxtaposition their statement. It's people who are Christians but want to hate. I'm like, at what point did Jesus hate? Or it's like, I'm a Christian and he's a Jew. Wait a minute, Jesus was a Jew. You can't be a Christian and hate Jewish people. What you're saying is you're hating Jesus. He was a Jew. And it's like, well, the Muslims say, whoa, don't quote me Abraham and then complain about, look, we all came from the same area. So for me, there's always a mutual respect. I was created in the image of God. You were created in the image of God. We are, like the song says, we're all God's children. Children of God are we. So for me, I want to give you that respect because A, you deserve it. And no matter what you're going through, that doesn't change you as a human being. If you think about it, when people go to jail, they go to the Department of Corrections, not the Department of Punishment. And so sometimes we just have to be about what we say we're about. There's a lot of times people go, oh, fake it till you make it. Nah, I remember Mom's Mabley. She says, if you can't make it, don't fake it, let somebody else take it. If you can't do nothing with it, quit it. But if you can do something with it, get it. And so I just want to treat another human being with kindness, decency, and respect because people deserve that, no matter what they're going through. So even when there are times, like I said, with, the whole thing with N.W.A, well, you're not playing my songs. I can't. You're saying niggas. I'm not putting niggas up on TV. And you're talking about this and all this other stuff. You can do it. I understand it, but it's not going to go here. Because I understand opening that gate changes a whole lot of things. And I got the video. It's funny. I got it recently. One of my editors has it. So the one I have doesn't have audio, but I can just see the body language with Ice Cube and I going back and forth. And for me, it's like, look, when I feel I got a good point, I'm standing on my point. I feel God and my Father, not necessarily in that order, right? But I remember afterwards talking to Eazy-E. And I said, listen, I understand where you guys are coming from, and this is your growing up. And I said, I don't even have a problem with Compton. I went to Compton when I first got to L.A. in 81, went to a party, had a wonderful time. I think Compton's wonderful. But I said, listen, because I do the Quiet Storm and because I'm at BET and nationwide, I can't go back to Ardmore Park in Ardmore, Maryland, and act like I'm a big deal on the basketball court because they're like, yo, dude, remember your ass used to always miss the bus and my mom would pick you up on the side of the road. So I said, I understand what you have to do, but understand where my position is. So even when you can't give someone something that they want, if you can say, listen, I understand. And it was funny because during that panel, Will Smith was going, I ain't saying nothing. He's playing me. And even when we were in New York with Hank Shockley, and I was saying, look, if you think these guys are just going to grab the Johnson, call women's hoes and bitches, and I'm going to play the video, no. And Ice-T, who had colors out, I ain't saying that he's playing me. But it's about having the dialogue. Because with Hank Shockley and I, that dialogue became the metamorphosis going into the Night of the Living Bassheads video. So when Hank came down, he says, yeah, man, I thought about what you said. So, we don't have to agree. Actually, when there's someone I don't agree with, the one thing I want to do is I want to hear more. I'm not, help me with this. And instead of talking the person down, help me understand. What was your motivation? How did you get to this point? I think a lot of times we become accusory because we figure if we can accuse you, we can put you in the defensive and make us right. But truth is truth no matter what. And so to me is that you can't be friends with someone you can't argue with. And if you can't tell a person how you really feel, if you are pissed off at them, if you can't tell them, then you don't have a relationship. You need to be able to say, Alvin, you done pissed me the fuck off. I'm like, what'd I do this time? I have friends. If somebody smacks me upside the head, I go, what'd I do? Not why'd you hit me? I know what did I do? And to me, as long as you can give, because think about it in the streets. The main thing, people have beefs in the streets, it's about respect. I'm trying to keep mine. I don't want you to take mine, isn't it? But it's like this. That's the whole story. It was two bulls. And one bull was facing this way and one bull was facing this way. And they were tethered by a rope. And they had food here and food here. And both bulls were trying to pull at each other back and forth so they can get the food. Bull going this way, tethered here, and food's here. They're both pulling each other. And basically they got so damn tired, nobody got food. But if they had understand with the rope, all they had to do is come to the same, Because if one bull would have came to the same direction, the rope would have been shorter. They both could have ate from this side and that side. So sometimes when we think it's either you or me, no, it could be us. Let's go back to another song, Ben. I used to say, I and me, now it's us, now it's we. We're together. And when we learn that, there is no scarcity. A lot of times when people think there's scarcity, we want to fight to protect our turf. What kills me, anytime that there is, say, a hurricane or something going on and people have to evacuate, everybody gets in line and wants to fill up their tank. Dude, you don't need to fill up your tank. Here's what you do. If your car only gets 15 miles to the gallon, all you need is 4 gallons. That will get you 60 miles away from the area where you can go somewhere where there's more gas aplenty. But if everybody hogs, you ever notice when there's a storm or something, everybody grabs the toilet paper? I'm like, how much shitting y'all gonna do? You just gonna sit at home and shit? We panic, and panic can cause us problems. The most important thing to do always is to keep your head with you, keep your head up. How do we come together? You know, we got a situation. Okay, what's the situation? Let's come together. So if we can do that, I think we as a people will live a lot easier, a lot less stress, and especially in the hood. A lot of times it's about scarce resources when it doesn't have to be scarce. Hey, I'm Alvin Jones. Welcome. You are experiencing 247hh.com.